Noise surrounds you. Opinions, alerts, distractions. They pull at your mind like thieves in the night. Marcus Aurelius warned us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Every moment wasted is a life lost. But strength is quiet. Real power is forged in silence, in action, in patience. This is not a lecture. This is a call to master your mind, your time, your life. Step into focus. Step into discipline. Step into yourself. If you're ready to rise above the noise, subscribe to Stoic Audiobooks and begin your transformation. The world is not louder than it used to be. You are. You let it in. Every notification, every opinion, every fleeting thought from a stranger who doesn't know your name. You opened the gates and let the chaos flood your mind like it had a right to be there. And now you wonder why you can't think straight, why you lie awake at night replaying conversations that don't matter, why you feel restless in your own skin, why silence feels like punishment instead of peace. It's not the world that's broken, it's your attention. You've been feeding your mind junk for so long, you forgot what clarity tastes like. You scroll to avoid feeling. You consume to avoid thinking. You fill every quiet moment with noise because you're terrified of what you might hear if you stopped. But here's the truth. The noise will kill you before the world does. Not with violence, not with drama, just slow erosion, a little more numbness every day, a little less presence, a little less you. You think distraction is harmless. You think it's just a break, a moment to unwind. But it's not. It's theft. Every time you reach for your phone instead of your thoughts, you're robbing yourself of the only thing that matters, your own mind. And the worst part? You've trained yourself to need it. You can't sit in a waiting room without pulling out your phone. You can't eat a meal without something playing in the background. You can't be alone with your thoughts for 5 minutes without feeling like you're losing your mind. That's not boredom. That's addiction. You've become dependent on distraction the way a drowning man becomes dependent on wreckage. It keeps you afloat, but it's not taking you anywhere. You're just drifting. And the current is stronger than you think. Every day you feed the noise, it gets louder. Every day you avoid silence, it gets harder to find. You think you're just staying connected, but you're not connected to anything real. You're tangled in a web of other people's thoughts, other people's problems, other people's lives. And your own? It's slipping through your fingers. You need to understand something. Your attention is your life. Where you place it, how you guard it, what you allow into it, that is your existence. Not your bank account, not your status, not the highlights you post online. Your attention, your focus, your presence. That's all you really have, and you're giving it away for free, to algorithms, to strangers, to content designed to keep you hooked, not help you grow. You're trading your peace for dopamine hits, your clarity for chaos, your depth for distraction. And it's costing you everything. Look at your life right now. Really look at it. How many hours did you lose this week to things that didn't matter? How many moments passed you by because you were somewhere else, mentally checked out, emotionally absent, physically there, but spiritually gone? How many times did you say, I don't have time, and then spend 2 hours scrolling? You have time. You just don't have control. And that's the hard part, admitting that you're not the master of your own mind anymore, that you've handed the reins over to whatever app, platform, or feed feels good in the moment. But here's the thing, you can take it back. Not all at once, not with some grand gesture or dramatic reset, but slowly, deliberately, one choice at a time. Start by noticing. Notice how often you reach for distraction. Notice what triggers it. Notice the hollow feeling that follows, the emptiness that comes after the scroll, after the video, after the noise fades, and you're left alone with yourself again. That emptiness, that's your soul asking for something real, and you keep giving it junk. You need to starve the noise, not forever, not completely, but enough to remember what silence feels like, enough to hear yourself think again. Sit with yourself for 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no distraction, just you, your breath, your thoughts. You need to starve the noise, not forever, not completely, but enough to remember what silence feels like, enough to hear yourself think again. Sit with yourself for 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no distraction, just you, your breath, your thoughts. It will feel uncomfortable. It will feel wrong. Your mind will scream at you to check something, do something, fill the space with anything but stillness. That's normal. That's the withdrawal. You've been numbing yourself for so long, feeling anything seems unbearable. But it's not. It's just unfamiliar. And on the other side of that discomfort, clarity, calm, control. The ability to sit with yourself and not flinch, to think without interference, to exist without needing the world to entertain you every 5 seconds. That's freedom. Not the loud, flashy kind, the quiet kind. The kind that lets you move through life without being pulled in 1,000 directions. The kind that lets you make decisions based on what you want, not what the algorithm tells you to want. The kind that makes you dangerous, because a man who can't be distracted can't be controlled. He knows his mind. He guards his attention. He doesn't need validation, stimulation, or constant input to feel alive. He just is. And that terrifies the world, because the world needs you distracted. It needs you consuming, reacting, chasing, scrolling. It needs you too busy to think, too tired to build, too scattered to become the man you're capable of being. But you don't have to play that game. You can step out. You can reclaim your attention. You can cut the noise and build in silence. It starts with one decision. No more feeding your mind what your soul can't digest. No more mindless scrolling before bed. No more filling every quiet moment with sound. No more trading your presence for pixels. You protect your attention the way you protect your body. You don't let poison in. You don't let toxicity linger. You guard what you consume because you know it becomes part of you. And if you let the noise in, it will consume you. So cut it, all of it. The feeds, the drama, the endless opinions from people who don't live your life. Cut the noise, cut the chaos, cut the distraction, and see what's left. A man, quiet, focused, present. That's who you were before the world convinced you otherwise. That's who you still are. Underneath the noise. Chapter 2. You can't build a life while running from yourself you've been running. Not physically. You're not fleeing the country or hiding in the woods, but mentally, emotionally, you've been sprinting away from yourself for years, and you're exhausted. You can feel it. The weight of avoidance, the drain of pretending everything's fine when you know it's not. The constant noise you surround yourself with so you don't have to sit with the truth. You're afraid of yourself. Not the version of you that smiles in public or posts online. Not the mask you wear for coworkers, friends, family. You're afraid of the real you. The one you meet in the mirror at 2 a.m. The one who knows all the lies you tell yourself. The one who remembers every shortcut, every broken promise, every moment you chose comfort over growth. That version? You can't stand him, so you run. You fill your calendar to avoid the emptiness. You scroll to avoid the silence. You chase new goals, new habits, new versions of yourself before you've even finished becoming the last one. You think if you move fast enough, you won't have to face what's behind you. But here's the truth. You can't build a life while running from yourself. Every time you avoid the hard conversation with yourself, about yourself, you delay the man you're becoming. Every time you distract yourself from discomfort, you reinforce the habit of weakness. And you wonder why nothing sticks, why every new routine fades, why every fresh start feels like the same old cycle. It's because you never dealt with the root. You never sat down with yourself and asked the hard questions. Why do I sabotage myself when things start going well? Why do I avoid the work I know I need to do? Why do I feel restless, even when I have everything I said I wanted? These aren't casual questions. They're excavations. And most men never dig that deep because they're terrified of what they'll find. Shame, regret, weakness. The realization that they've been lying to themselves for years. But that's exactly why you need to go there. Because on the other side of that discomfort is clarity, strength, the ability to move forward without the weight of your past dragging you down. You can't outrun yourself. You've tried. Everyone has. But no matter how fast you move, how busy you get, how much you achieve, you're still you. And if you haven't dealt with yourself, you're just dragging all that unresolved weight into your future. Your relationships, your work, your goals. They're all built on shaky ground if you haven't faced the man in the mirror. And deep down, you know this. You know that every time you scroll instead of think, you're avoiding something. Every time you chase the next thing, instead of finishing what you started, you're running. And you're tired of running. So stop. Sit down. Right now. Right here. No phone, no distraction, no plan to figure it out later. Just you and the truth. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding? And don't accept the easy answer. Don't tell yourself it's just stress or lack of time. Go deeper. What pattern keeps repeating in your life? What do you do when things get hard? What do you lie to yourself about most? These are the questions most men never ask, because they're afraid of the answers. But you're not most men, not anymore. You're the man who stops running, who faces himself, who admits where he's weak so he can become strong. And that starts with honesty. Brutal, uncomfortable, unfiltered honesty. Not the kind you post online, not the kind you tell your friends, the kind you whisper to yourself in the dark when no one's watching. The kind that says, I've been half-assing my life, I've been avoiding the work, I've been lying about who I am and what I want. That's the honesty that changes everything. Because once you admit it, you can't unknow it. You can't go back to pretending. You can't run anymore. You have to deal with it. And dealing with it doesn't mean fixing it overnight. It doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means sitting with yourself long enough to understand why you do what you do. Why do you procrastinate? Because you're afraid of failing, or worse, afraid of succeeding and realizing it wasn't what you wanted. Why do you fill every moment with noise? Because silence forces you to feel, and feeling means confronting what you've been avoiding. Why do you sabotage yourself? Because deep down, you don't believe you deserve what you're chasing. These are the answers you uncover when you stop running, when you sit with yourself and let the truth rise to the surface. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's easier to distract yourself and pretend you're fine, but easy doesn't build men. Discomfort does. You become the man you're meant to be by facing the man you are, by acknowledging the flaws, the failures, the fears, and choosing to move forward anyway. Not by running, not by hiding, but by standing still and saying, this is me, this is where I am, and I'm not running anymore. That's power. Not loud, not flashy, just quiet, unshakable power. The power to look at yourself without flinching, to admit your weaknesses without excuse, to own your mistakes without shame. And from that foundation, you build. Not on lies, not on avoidance, but on truth. You build slowly, you build deliberately, you build with the knowledge that you faced yourself and survived. And that makes you dangerous. Because a man who's faced himself has nothing left to fear. He knows his demons, he's stared them down. He's made peace with who he was so he can become who he's meant to be. That man doesn't run. He doesn't need to. He's already home. Chapter 3. Silence is not empty. It's where you rebuild. The world taught you that silence is something to fear, that being alone with your thoughts is a sign of loneliness, that stillness is boredom, that if you're not doing, consuming, moving, you're wasting time. So you filled every gap, every quiet moment, every breath of space in your life with noise, and you called it productivity. But it wasn't. It was avoidance. Because silence isn't empty. It's not a void to be filled. It's a space where clarity grows, where truth settles, where you rebuild the parts of yourself you've been too distracted to notice. And you need it, more than you think. You need the stillness, the quiet, the moments where nothing is happening except you, your breath, and your thoughts. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. Silence is where you meet yourself, not the version you perform for the world, not the identity you've built from external validation, but the real you, the one who exists when no one's watching. And most men can't handle that. They sit in silence for 5 minutes and feel like they're drowning. Their mind races, their chest tightens. They reach for their phone, the TV, anything to break the discomfort. Because they don't know how to be with themselves anymore. They've spent so long running from silence that when it finally catches them, they don't know what to do. So they run again. But you're going to stay. You're going to sit in the silence. Not forever, not perfectly, but enough to remember what it feels like to be instead of do. Enough to hear the voice inside your head that's been drowned out by the noise. The voice that knows what you need, what you want, what you've been ignoring. That voice only speaks in silence. And if you never create the space for it, you'll spend your whole life taking direction from the world instead of from yourself. You'll chase goals you don't care about, build a life you don't recognize, become a man you don't respect, because you never stopped to listen. Silence isn't lazy. It's not wasting time. It's reclaiming your mind. It's where you process, where you reflect, where you separate what matters from what doesn't. You can't do that in chaos. You can't think clearly when your mind is cluttered with notifications, opinions, and the constant hum of distraction. You need space, and space requires silence. Start small. 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no input. Just you. Sitting, breathing. Your mind will protest. It will scream for stimulation. It will throw thoughts at you like grenades, random worries, forgotten tasks, endless loops of nothing. That's normal. That's the detox. Let it happen. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Just observe. Watch your thoughts like clouds passing. Notice them. Acknowledge them. Let them move on. And slowly, the noise will settle. Slowly, the water will clear. And you'll start to see what's underneath. Clarity, calm, control. The ability to think without interference, to make decisions without panic, to exist without needing the world to validate your every move. That's freedom, and it only comes from silence. Not loud declarations, not motivational speeches, not external validation, just quiet, deliberate stillness. The kind that lets you rebuild from the inside out, because that's what silence is. It's not a pause. It's not a break. It's a reset. It's where you strip away the noise, the distractions, the identities you've borrowed from others, and remember who you are underneath. And that man, he's stronger than you think. He doesn't need constant stimulation. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't need to fill every moment with sound. It's where you strip away the noise, the distractions, the identities you've borrowed from others, and remember who you are underneath. And that man? He's stronger than you think. He doesn't need constant stimulation. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't need to fill every moment with sound. Chapter 4. Discipline is the language you speak to yourself. You want to be disciplined. You talk about it. You plan for it. You tell yourself tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow you'll wake up early. Tomorrow you'll do the work. Tomorrow you'll be the man you know you can be. But tomorrow never comes. Because discipline isn't something you want. It's something you do. And you've been lying to yourself about that. You think discipline is motivation, that it's about feeling inspired, fired up, ready to conquer the world, that when the moment is right, when the stars align, when you feel like it, then you'll act. But that's not discipline. That's emotion. And emotion is a terrible leader. It gets you started, but it never gets you finished. Discipline is different. Discipline is cold. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't negotiate. It just shows up, every single day, whether you're tired or not, whether you're motivated or not, whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is the language you speak to yourself when no one's listening. And right now, you're not speaking it. You're whispering excuses. You're mumbling justifications. You're telling yourself stories about why today isn't the day, why this week is too busy, why next month will be better. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not undisciplined because you lack time. You're undisciplined because you lack respect. Respect for yourself, for your word, for the promises you make when you're alone. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, you teach yourself that your word means nothing, that your commitments are optional, that when it gets hard, you'll fold. And you do, every time. Not because you're weak, but because you've trained yourself to be. You've spent years reinforcing the pattern. Say you'll do it, don't do it, feel bad, repeat. And now it's automatic. It's who you are. But it doesn't have to be. You can change. Not by wanting to, not by hoping to, but by doing. By keeping one promise to yourself. Just one. Not a big one. Not a life-changing, impossible goal. Just something small, something simple. Something you can do today. Wake up when your alarm goes off. No snooze. No negotiation. Do 10 push-ups. Right now, not later. Now. Write 1 page. Walk 1 mile. Read 1 chapter. One thing. Done. No excuses. That's discipline. Not the grand vision. Not the motivation. Just the action. The small, unglamorous, unsexy action that no one will applaud. That's where discipline lives. In the moments when you don't feel like it, when it's easier to quit, when no one's watching and no one cares. That's when you prove who you are. Not to the world, to yourself. Because discipline isn't about impressing others, it's about becoming reliable to yourself. It's about knowing that when you say you'll do something, you will. Not because you're perfect, not because it's easy, but because you said you would. And your word means something. That's the language of men. Not loud, not boastful, just honest. When you say it, you do it. No drama, no delay. You speak, and then you act. And over time, that builds trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to follow through. Trust that when life gets hard, and it will, you won't fold. You'll stand. You'll push. You'll do what needs to be done. Not because you feel like it, but because that's who you are. That's the man you're building, one kept promise at a time. Not with motivation, with discipline. The cold, unglamorous, unshakable force that carries you when emotion fades, and emotion always fades. Motivation dies, inspiration flickers, feelings come and go like weather. But discipline stays. It doesn't need applause, it doesn't need recognition. It doesn't need you to feel a certain way. It just needs you to show up. And you will, because you're done lying to yourself. You're done breaking promises, done negotiating with weakness, done waiting for the perfect moment. You're starting now, with one thing, one action, one kept promise. And tomorrow, you'll do it again. And the day after, and the day after that. Not because it's easy, but because it's who you're becoming. A man who speaks the language of discipline, a man whose word means something, a man who doesn't need motivation. He just acts, and the world bends around men like that, because they're rare, and they're dangerous, not loud, not flashy, just unstoppable. Chapter 5. Cut the dead branches. You think growth means adding more goals, more habits, more projects, more people, more noise. You think if you just do more, you'll become more. But you're wrong. Growth isn't addition, it's subtraction. It's cutting away what no longer serves you, what drags you down, what keeps you small. And right now, your life is full of dead weight, Dead habits, dead relationships, dead versions of yourself that you're clinging to because letting go feels like loss. But it's not loss, it's liberation. You can't grow while holding on to everything. You can't become the man you're meant to be while carrying the weight of who you used to be. You have to cut. Not recklessly, not cruelly, but deliberately. You have to look at your life and ask, what here is alive? What here is dead? And then you have to be honest. That friendship that drains you every time you talk? Dead. That habit you keep saying you'll quit but never do? Dead. That identity you built years ago that no longer fits? Dead. These things are not helping you. They're holding you back. And you know it. You've known it for a long time. But you're afraid to let go. Because letting go means admitting you were wrong, that you wasted time, that you invested in things that didn't matter. But the real waste, holding on. Holding on to relationships that drain you. Holding on to habits that keep you weak. Holding on to versions of yourself that no longer serve you. That's the waste. Every day you carry dead weight is a day you're not moving forward. So cut it. Cut the dead branches. Not to be cruel, not to burn bridges, but to make room. Room for what's alive, for what's growing, for what's real. You don't owe anyone your energy. You don't owe anyone your time. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that no longer exists. You owe yourself the truth. And the truth is, you can't become who you're meant to be while holding on to who you were. You have to let go. Not violently, not with anger, but with clarity. With the understanding that some things are meant to end, some people are meant to leave, some versions of yourself are meant to die. And that's okay, because on the other side of that death, growth, real growth, not the loud, flashy kind, the quiet kind, the kind that happens when you stop carrying what doesn't belong to you. When you stop trying to be everything to everyone, when you stop clinging to identities that no longer fit, when you cut the dead branches and let the living ones breathe, that's when you grow. Not by adding more, but by becoming more by carrying less. So look at your life, really look. What's dead? What's draining you? What's keeping you small? And then ask yourself, am I brave enough to let it go? Because that's what this is, bravery, not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that says, I'm done carrying what doesn't serve me. Chapter 6. Your future self is watching. Your future self is watching. Not in some abstract motivational way, but actually watching. Every decision you make today becomes the life he lives tomorrow. Every shortcut you take, every excuse you make, every moment you choose comfort over growth, he feels it. And right now, you're letting him down. You're choosing the easy path, the comfortable lie, the version of today that doesn't hurt. But every time you do, you rob him of tomorrow. You rob him of the strength he needs, the discipline he depends on, the foundation he's trying to build on. Because he doesn't exist yet. He's just potential, and potential means nothing without action. You are the action. You are the man who decides whether he becomes real or stays a fantasy, whether he's strong or weak, whether he's disciplined or defeated. Every choice you make is a vote for the man you're becoming. And right now, you're voting against him. Not with malice, not intentionally, but through neglect, through delay, through the small daily betrayals you've normalized. Hitting snooze instead of getting up, scrolling instead of working, avoiding instead of facing. You think these are small things, harmless, inconsequential. But they're not. They're everything. Because your future self is built from these moments, from the choices you make when no one's watching, from the promises you keep or break when it doesn't seem to matter. But it does matter, every single time. Because the man you're becoming is the sum of every decision you've made, every action you've taken, every moment you chose growth or gave into comfort. And if you keep choosing comfort, He'll be weak, not because he's broken, but because you broke him. You starved him of the discipline he needed. You denied him the work he required. You chose today's comfort over his tomorrow's strength. And that's on you. But her. He's the truth. It's not too late. Your future self is still watching, still waiting, still hoping you'll make the right choice. Not every time, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to give him a foundation. Enough to give him strength. Enough to give him a chance. And that starts now, with one decision, one action, one vote for the man you're becoming. Wake up when you said you would. Do the work you've been avoiding. Face the truth you've been running from. Not because it's easy, but because he needs you to. Your future self needs you to be stronger today, so he can be stronger tomorrow. He needs you to keep your promises, to do the hard things, to build the foundation he'll stand on. And if you don't, he'll crumble. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, under the weight of all the shortcuts you took, all the excuses you made, all the votes you cast against him. So stop. Stop voting against yourself. Stop choosing comfort over growth. Stop letting your future self down. And start building. One decision at a time. One kept promise at a time. One vote for the man you're becoming. Not loud, not flashy, just consistent. Because that's what builds men. Consistency. Not motivation, not inspiration, just showing up. Every single day. For him. For your future self. The man who's watching. Waiting. Hoping you'll choose him. So choose him. Choose the hard path. The uncomfortable truth. The decision that hurts today but builds tomorrow. Because every action is a vote. And your future self is counting them. Make them count. Make. Chapter 7. Build in silence. Let success make the noise. You want to tell everyone what you're doing. You want to post about your goals, share your progress, announce your plans. You think that's accountability, that's motivation, that's how you make it real. But it's not. It's performance. And performance is the enemy of progress. Because every time you announce what you're going to do, you get a hit of validation, a small rush of dopamine, a taste of the reward without doing the work. And your brain thinks you've already accomplished something. So you stop. Not consciously, but the fire dims, the urgency fades. The need to prove yourself shrinks because you already told everyone you were doing it. And that's enough. For now, until tomorrow, when you announce the next thing, and the cycle repeats. You become a man of words, not action, of plans, not execution, of performance, not progress. And the worst part? You don't even realize it's happening. You think you're building, but you're not. You're broadcasting. And broadcasting is not building. Building happens in silence, in the hours no one sees, in the work no one applauds. Building is boring, unglamorous, repetitive. It's waking up early when no one's watching. It's doing the work when no one cares. It's showing up day after day after day without recognition, without validation, without applause. That's building. And most men can't handle it. They need the likes, the comments, the external validation to keep going. But that's weak, because real strength doesn't need an audience. Real strength doesn't need permission. Real strength doesn't need the world to watch in order to act. It just acts, quietly, deliberately, relentlessly. And when the work is done, success makes the noise. Not you, not your announcements, not your performance, just results. Undeniable, unignorable, real. The kind of success that speaks for I. Self, because it's built on action, not words. That's the man you need to become. Not the one who talks about what he's going to do, but the one who does it. In silence, in stillness, in the unglamorous grind that no one sees. And when they finally see the results, they'll ask how you did it. And you won't have much to say, because you weren't building for them. You were building for you, for your future self, for the man you knew you could become if you just shut up and worked. That's power, not loud, not flashy, just solid. The kind of power that doesn't need validation because it's built on truth, on action, on results. So stop talking, stop announcing, stop performing, and start building, in silence. Let your work speak, let your results make the noise, and let the world catch up. Chapter 8. Action over words. Talk is cheap. Life answers only to what you do. These are not empty words. They are a warning, a map, and a command all at once. The world does not listen to intentions. It does not bend for plans whispered in idle moments. It does not pause for promises made under the warmth of fleeting excitement. Life answers only to action, and the measure of a man is written not in his words, but in the unrelenting steps he takes when no one is watching, when no applause awaits, when only silence surrounds him. You have heard the noise, the chatter, the advice, the endless motivational slogans recycled and regurgitated by voices that claim authority. You have read the memes, the hustle harder captions, the daily affirmations that feel heavy on your chest and light in your hands. None of it matters unless it reaches the body, unless it finds purchase in your bones, unless it compels you to move, to shape, to build, to endure. Words without action are like seeds scattered on concrete. They make a promise of growth, but they do not root, they do not bloom, they do not sustain. To act is to be alive. To act with precision, with discipline, with quiet determination, is to be human at your highest. This is the discipline that separates the man who merely wishes from the man who commands. Every day, men are tested, not by some grand event, but by small, silent challenges. A temptation to scroll, a desire to sleep longer, a call to argue when restraint would serve. These are the moments that define the edges of your character, the quiet battles that decide whether you will be remembered by results or forgotten in words. Action is never loud. It does not announce itself with fanfare or seek validation. It grows in silence, layer by layer, repetition by repetition, invisible to the untrained eye. You will not feel its progress immediately. You will not be congratulated for it. But the strength it builds is unshakable. It is a power rooted in self-mastery, forged in restraint, and refined by consistency. You cut the noise, you cut the excuses, you cut the delay, and what remains is clarity. What remains is strength. What remains is the man who does. Every man faces a choice between talk and doing. You can speak of what you will change tomorrow, of what you will overcome eventually, of how you intend to become the version of yourself you imagine. Or you can rise today, now, in the quiet hours, and take one deliberate step, one uncompromised step, one action aligned with the life you claim as yours. Do not wait for motivation, for inspiration, for the perfect conditions. Those are illusions crafted to preserve comfort. Action begins where comfort ends. It begins where the easy path dies, and the true path waits, demanding sweat, patience, and endurance. Consider a tree in the forest. The wind whistles, storms come, snow piles. The tree does not declare itself mighty. It does not tell the other trees how deeply its roots reach. It does not promise strength. It simply bends where it must, resists where it must, grows taller where it can, and endures. In silence, it acts. So must you. Your words cannot build your fortress, cannot repair your walls, cannot carve your path. Only action can. Only the labor of your hands, your mind, your body, your will can shape the reality around you. So stand, move, lift, build, endure, fight, create, finish, act, always. No excuses, no delay, no noise, only action. And in action, find your freedom, your strength, your clarity, your life. Chapter 9. Guard your mind. Not all thoughts are yours. Not all impulses deserve life. Let this sink in. Every day, your mind is assaulted, not by enemies on a battlefield, but by the quiet intrusions that go unnoticed. A notification, a fleeting worry, a memory that drags your attention like a chain. Each one is a test. Each one is an opportunity to surrender or to stand. Guard your mind, for it is the fortress upon which every other aspect of your life depends. Without it, all else crumbles. The mind is not a passive container. It is a field. Some seeds bear fruit. Some seeds are weeds. You cannot let all growth take root. The thoughts you entertain shape your actions, your emotions, your character. And yet, too often, men allow their minds to drift, to wander into territory ruled by fear, envy, doubt, or distraction. They believe every thought deserves attention. They act as if every impulse carries weight. They mistake chaos for necessity. They mistake reaction for control. Control begins with recognition. Observe the intrusions, the sparks of desire, the pangs of resentment. Name them, examine them. Let them pass if they serve no purpose. A thought that does not serve you is poison. Allow it to linger, and it will spread. Allow it to dictate your mood, and it will dictate your life. Learn to discern between the useful and the destructive. Learn to reject what weakens, what diminishes, what distracts. Discipline is the weapon. It is quiet. It is relentless. It is invisible to the world, yet it shapes everything. You will not feel your defenses strengthening at first. You will not see immediate change. That is the nature of the internal battle. You do not fight for applause. You do not fight for validation. You fight for yourself, in silence, in focus, in attention. Each time you resist an impulse, each time you reject a useless thought, each time you reclaim a moment stolen by distraction, you fortify your mind. You are building walls of clarity, ramparts of self-mastery, gates of endurance. Guarding your mind is not suppression. It is selection. It is cultivation. It is the deliberate act of shaping your inner world so that it serves you rather than controls you. Anger, desire, envy, fear, these are tools. Used wisely, they become fuel for action. Used carelessly, they become chains. Stoicism teaches that the only true power is over yourself. The body, the environment, the chaos outside, all of it can be endured, shaped, and mastered. But the mind must be trained first, for it is the general that commands all forces within. Resistance is constant. The world will bombard you with messages that seek to fragment your attention, that seek to distort your perspective, that seek to divert your energy. Social media, idle chatter, endless entertainment, the pull of comparison, they all whisper, react, react, and you lose. React, and your focus dissolves. React, and you give away what little control you possess. Do not react blindly. Choose deliberately. Let your mind be a calm lake, not a storm-tossed sea. Let the waves hit and pass without disturbance. Let your attention flow where it matters. Guarding your mind requires solitude, not loneliness, but a deliberate space where you are free from intrusion. Here you can observe your thoughts, separate the necessary from the trivial, the constructive from the destructive. Here you can measure your impulses against your purpose. Here you can train your focus, temper your emotions, and build the strength to act decisively in the chaos beyond. Solitude is the training ground. Silence is the teacher. Reflection is the forge. The man who guards his mind walks through the world with quiet power. He is unshaken by opinion, undistracted by noise, unbound by unnecessary desire. He acts from principle, not impulse. He endures what must be endured, resists what must be resisted, and pursues what must be pursued. Others will see only results, not the effort behind them. That is as it should be. Let action, not explanation, define you. Let accomplishment, not talk, measure your worth. Let the fortress of your mind remain impervious to intrusion, your inner citadel unconquerable. Guarding your mind is not a task with an endpoint. It is a lifelong discipline, a continuous war fought in silence and solitude. The rewards are subtle, not flashy, but they are absolute: clarity, focus, emotional mastery, and freedom. Without it, all else falters. With it, all else becomes possible. A guarded mind is the root of a disciplined body, a decisive life, a man who stands unshaken in a world built on distraction, chaos, and fleeting pleasures. Remember always, not all thoughts are yours. Not all impulses deserve life. Observe, select, reject, and act with deliberate purpose. This is the quiet work that builds strength. This is the unseen labor that defines character. This is the discipline that separates men who endure from men who are crushed. Guard your mind, and you guard everything worth having. Chapter 4. Master your time. Every second spent is a brick laid. Waste none. Build all. Time is the one currency that no man can earn back. It is finite, relentless, and unforgiving. You may lose money and earn it again. You may fail and recover. You may fall and rise. But time, once spent, is gone forever. Each second is a choice. Each moment, a brick. Build wisely, or your life will crumble beneath the weight of your own neglect. Observe the men around you. Many of them drift, consumed by habits, distractions, and trivial urgencies. They react to notifications, succumb to fleeting pleasures, and let their days vanish like smoke in the wind. They believe that being busy is the same as being productive, that moving is the same as building, that reacting is the same as acting. They are wrong. They are wasting their bricks. They are constructing nothing, and in the quiet of night, they will feel the hollowness of time passed without intention. Mastering time begins with awareness. Know where your hours are spent. Every choice matters. Every glance at a screen, every idle conversation, every delayed decision is a brick laid in the wrong place. To master your time is to master your life. The men who control their minutes control their days. The men who control their days control their destiny. Time is the most honest judge you will ever meet. It does not cheat, it does not favor, and it does not forget. It rewards only deliberate action. Discipline is your weapon. Structure your hours as a general structures his army. Assign purpose to every segment of the day. Morning, noon, evening, each has a task, each has a role. Work without distraction. Eat without haste. Rest without regret. Deliberate action is a shield against chaos. Reactive living is a trap, a slow erosion of potential. The man who acts only when the world demands it will find himself hollow. The man who accords it with intention will find himself unbreakable. Prioritization is the skill that separates men from boys. Not everything matters equally. Not every call, every message, every urgent request deserves attention. Learn to discern the essential from the trivial. Let your energy flow toward what shapes you, what strengthens you, what builds your fortress brick by brick. Let the rest pass. Do not be drawn into every conflict, every distraction, every fleeting temptation. Your time is sacred. Protect it as you would a weapon, for it is more lethal than any sword in shaping the man you will become. Every decision about time is a vote for the man you are becoming. Every delay, every wasted hour is a vote against him. Choose deliberately. Rise early. Use the quiet hours for reflection, planning, and action. Let the chaos of the world wait while you lay your bricks in silence. Let the noise of others pass through your walls without impact. Your life is not built on excuses, on busyness, on idle gestures. It is built on deliberate, measured, consistent action. To master time is also to respect its limits. Do not attempt to chase everything. Focus rather than scatter. Depth over breadth. A single hour of full attention is worth more than 10 hours of divided effort. Time is not your enemy, but neither is it your servant. It is a tool, one that must be wielded with precision and respect. Waste it, and it will exact its price. Use it wisely, and it will construct a life of quiet power, resilience, and impact. The distractions will come. The world is designed to fragment your attention. Alerts, messages, news, entertainment, they all demand immediacy. Resist the urge to surrender. Practice restraint. Build periods of silence and concentration into your day. Measure your success not by how busy you appear, but by how deliberate your actions are, by how fully your bricks are laid. The man who masters time acts, while others react. The man who masters time builds while others drift. Even when rest comes, let it be purposeful. Sleep is not a surrender, it is a tool. Recover, reflect, and rise prepared. Every day is another opportunity to lay bricks, another chance to shape the structure of your life. Hesitate, and the day slips away. Act, and it builds. This is the Stoic truth. The only constant is time, and the only control is in your hands. Choose how you spend it, or it will choose for you. Master your time, and you master your life. Wasting hours is more destructive than failure, because failure can be recovered, but wasted moments are irretrievable. Make deliberate choices, reject distraction, and act with precision. Let every second be accounted for, every effort directed, every motion purposeful. Build in silence, plan in clarity, execute in discipline. Lay your bricks steadily, and when the years have passed, you will stand upon a fortress of your own making. Your time is yours, if you claim it. Guard it fiercely. Respect it absolutely. Use it relentlessly. Every second spent is a brick laid. Waste none. Build all. Let the men who drift watch as you construct a life they cannot imitate. Let the world judge only by the results, not the excuses. Time does not lie. Time does not wait. Time answers only to the man who commands it. Lay your bricks wisely and let nothing be wasted.